What's up, guys? Troy back with you again at work today. It's the weekend. It's one of those days we kind of just kick back. But I've been thinking a lot. I haven't shown you guys exactly how to set up all my crappie rigs, and depending on what kind of fishing that I'm doing that day, whether I'm casting to them, vertical jigging, slip bobber, all kind of depends on how I set my rig up. So first off, I'll figure out exactly what kind of fishing I'm doing, then I'll set up my rig accordingly. And I've got 3 or 4 just really go-to rigs, and usually I have them set up in my boat ready to rock and roll. So I just grab them just real quick on the go. But I kind of wanted to show you exactly how I set it up. I set it up in a way that I would save some tackle, and depending on whether it's being brush or, you know, if you're gonna get caught up in a lot of stuff, I'll set it up a little different. But let me show you right quick exactly how I set my crappie rigs up. All right, guys, I have a couple rods rigged up, show you exactly how I fish my tackle. And depending on how I'm fishing these crappie will depend on how I set it up. So I've got a couple rods rigged up. Let me show you exactly how I set mine up. First one I'd like to show you, I've got this on a 6-foot rod, and this is what I use for actually casting to the crappie. So if I'm live scoping, or even if you're not, this is, in my opinion, the best way to do it. So basically I do a double rig setup, and I do them about 8 inches apart, 10 inches apart. And I have braid. So this is 10 pound, and I have it to 8 pound fluorocarbon. And I do that to give myself just a little give. That braid is so tight, and these rods, if you're using a stiffer rod, you want just a little bit of give. So this is great just for casting. The other reason I really like a double rig setup is because if you're live scoping, it's a lot easier to find 2 baits. So if you have a big enough jig head, it's a little easier to pick up, but it's so much easier to pick up 2 baits, because most of the time they're, depending on how that live scope is facing out, a lot of times when you cast, those jigs are in different places, so it'll bounce back a stronger signal when you have 2 of them in there. So some folks can tip these with a minnow. I normally don't. I usually use straight jigs. I'm not opposed to using minnows, but that's how I do it. And when I go to put my rods up, I was going to show you this. Somebody was asking me about this, how I have it. What I'll do, I'll get it just like so, and I'm going to wrap it right under here, and I'm going to hook the hooks on top of their sail, or in their sails, just like this. I'm going to make sure my rod tip is straight up, and then what I'll do, I'll grab this, and then I'll just twirl it till it's kind of tight and my rod's not bending. So usually that's in and out of the way, and that's how I transport them, just like that. But this is my double jig rig casting rod, and this is what's great about a 6-foot rod. You can really get on out there. The versatility of it is incredible. So give it a shot, see if you like it. Like and subscribe to this channel, and let me know you're liking the videos, and I'll keep putting them out. But let's get to the next one. All right, this is my next one. This is my tree thumper, my 10-foot tree thumper, my favorite rod. You've heard me say it several times. I like this rod probably more than any other rod. I'll use several other ones, but this one is my favorite. And I'll show you how I roll it up. But this one, this is my do-it-all rod. I can vertical jig with it. I can cast with it. And that being said, you can't just use any weight and any kind of tackle if you're going to be casting and vertical jigging. So basically what I do, I have 10-pound braid, and then I have a bobber stop that you can see, and then what I'll run off after that bobber stop, I'll run a 1/8 ounce weight. 1/8 ounce weight. Then I'm going to come down to a barrel swivel, just like that. I'm going to leave myself about 14 inches, between 14 and 16 inches, and then I'm going to put my jig head on it. So this is exactly what it'll look like. The jig head is also a 1/8 ounce jig head. It doesn't fall too fast, so that's exactly what it's going to look like right there. You can cast with this. It's not going to drop so fast that it's going to get underneath the fish. It has a pretty good hang time on it. So if you're looking for just a do-it-all setup that you can just grab it and go, you can do it all with this rig right here. You can vertical jig with it. You can cast with it. And this is really why I like this rig so much. So 10-foot tree thumper. Like I said, 10-pound braid. Put your bobber stop on it. 1/8 ounce weight. Barrel swivel. 16 inches of 8-pound fluorocarbon. And 1/8 ounce jig head. The reason I do the 8-pound fluorocarbon, if I break off at all, I'm not going to lose my bobber stop. I'm not going to lose my weight. I'm not going to lose my barrel swivel. The only thing I have to replace is my piece of fluorocarbon and my jig head. And a lot of times I have those made up where all I have to do is just tie the line right on the barrel swivel and I'm back fishing again. So I'll set that right in the seat just like that. If you can see that. And next thing, I'll pull up just enough slack where my rod is not bent. Then I'll go about halfway up. I'll pull it out just a little bit and then I'll spin. And this keeps your rods from getting all tangled up with each other. But it don't have to be super tight, but you can see your line is tucked in very well. And you don't have to worry about it getting tangled up. So let's go to the next one. This next one I use specifically for Livescope vertical jigging. So it's a 14-foot rod. It's a really long rod, but it's my favorite because it's long enough to get you away from the trolling motor so you don't spook these fish. Every once in a while, the fish are going to get spooked. That's just the way that it is. But 14 foot is long enough to get you out there where you can sneak up on these fish and do very well. So it's a 14-foot ACC rod. Let me undo it right quick. I have these set up the same way. I've got 20-pound braid on this one. And I have it set up just a tad different, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Just like all the rest of them, I have a bobber stop, and from that bobber stop, I've got a half ounce weight, just like that. And then from that half ounce weight, I go to a barrel swivel, just like you see there. 10-pound fluorocarbon, and then to my jig head. So let me tell you why I use such a big weight. Every once in a while, I use a 3/4 ounce weight also. And the reason I do that, if I'm chasing fish down and I need to make a correction, if that fish is off to my right or off to my left, if you're using an 1/8 ounce jig head or even smaller, when I go to pull this line across, it takes forever for my bait to follow the way that I'm going. So with this weight, it sinks down and puts enough pressure on your line that it cuts through that water a lot quicker. So you can make micro adjustments very quickly with a stronger weight. Another thing that I really like, when I get it, that weight to exactly where I want, this is going to be behind it. And it's going to just kind of pendulum down because that 1/8 ounce isn't going to fall nearly as quick. So if you're running a fish down and he's kind of getting away from you, you can drop this in the water and it's going to get down there incredibly fast. That being said, you got to kind of be careful. You're not going to be casting with this setup. But if you're trying to make adjustments to the right or to the left in the water column, this is going to be perfect for you. You're going to love this setup. You could also use a 3/4 ounce weight. I don't think I've ever used a 1/8 ounce weight. If you do, probably what I would say do is to give yourself a little more line. And like I said, as long as your fluorocarbon is a little less test line than your braid, that's all you're going to lose. So you don't have to worry about losing your weights, your barrel swivels, your bobber stops. It's going to be just fine. So Livescopers, if you're new to Livescope and trying to figure out the best way to vertical jig these, this setup, I'm telling you, I jerk slabs in the boat all day long with this setup, and I absolutely love it. So give it a shot. Do the same thing here, and I put it right in that seat. I'm going to reel down on it. Make sure my rod's not bent. Now I'm just going to twist her down. It's really windy out there today. I feel sorry for whoever's on the water. They're going to be fighting that wind pretty good today. So I'm going to put this to the side. All right, guys, all you folks that use bobbers, I have one way that I fish a bobber. I know there's 1,000 different ways that you can fish a bobber, and believe me, I have fished them. I've tried 100 different ways, and I can tell you this way that I'm fixing to show you works better than any other one that I've tried. If you have a way that works for you and you're happy with it, you're used to casting or vertical dropping, keep doing that. But let me show you the way that I like to do it. I have a very small rod. Most of the time is because I'm casting this rod, and if I'm in trees or whatever, I want a smaller rod. If I'm on the bank or something like that and I don't have far to go, you can use a longer rod, but for using a bobber, I love a short rod. I also use this, this is about a 5.5 foot rod. I use this for dock shooting also. So this rod is very versatile. I kind of got it wrapped up, so let me undo it for you right quick. So this time of the year is fixing to come up. Everybody's going to start pulling their bobbers out because it's not going to be too long. It won't be a couple months, and we'll be ready for the spawn. When that happens, everybody's going to be pulling their bobbers up. And let me tell you what I hate about a bobber. And a lot of you will know what I'm talking about. If you set your bobber up just like this and you go to cast this thing just pendulums and it catches on everything and you have no control of it, okay? The way that I'm going to show you set it up will give you 100% control unless the wind hits or something like that. But it's super easy to cast, super easy to do anything with. So let me start at the top. I go straight braid all the way down. I don't put fluorocarbon or anything on this. And the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to put a bobber stop. Just like that. All right. The very next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to slip my bobber on it. That bobber stop's going to hit. All right. Now you can get these packs for $1. And what I'll do, I'll take this piece right here out of another one and I'll actually put it in the bottom. And it gives me just a little hole. And the reason I do that is because this little hole, sometimes your hook will go up inside of it and it'll get stuck and it won't fall the way that it's supposed to fall. So what I'll do, I'll put that in there just like this, and then I'll add another bobber stop on the bottom of it, just like so. So I have two bobber stops. I have one above and one below. And what I'll do then, I'll come straight and I'll hook a jig head straight to the braid, just like that. All right. So basically, what I'll do, I'll put this bobber stop all the way down to right above my jig head, just like this. All right. And the reason I do it this way, say if you're going to fish a foot deep, you just put your bobber stop a foot. That's what it's going to sit like in the water. A lot of people is going to say, well, I use minnows, I don't use jigs. I use this whether I'm minnow fishing or jig fishing. If I don't have a jig on there and I'm going to use a minnow, you still have to put a weight on that hook to get that minnow down to where you want it. So instead of using a split shot or anything like that, I use a jig head. The profile isn't that bad. I haven't noticed any difference whether they're gonna bite it or not. So instead of having to use a split shot and a hook, I just use 1/8 ounce. It's plenty to get the bait down there. It's not enough to pull your bobber under, and it floats perfect. So that's what it's gonna sit like in the water. And the reason I want it so close, that bobber so close to my hook, is when I go to cast this, I have complete control of it. And I don't have anything to act as a pendulum. That's all that I'm casting instead of casting this. So that bobber stop's gonna catch so it don't go over my hook, and that's exactly what it's gonna look like. You can cast with this rig. You can, and another reason I like it, depending on if you want to use a jig or a minnow, you don't have to switch a bunch of stuff out. You can go straight on that hook with the minnow or straight on with the jig, and it's ready to go. Another reason I like this is I can tuck it away, and it's very, very low profile. I'll put it in the seat just like the rest of them. This is going to sit right down here, just like that. And then I'm going to twist this up. It's going to keep a very low profile. I don't have to worry about my rods tangling up with each other, and it's ready to go right there. So I really hope you like the way that I set my rigs up. Give it a shot, and I hope it works for you as well as it does for me. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and we'll have some more videos coming out in the future. I hope y'all limit out. Try these tips and let me know if it works for you. Have a good day. God bless.